All right, 9th and 10th grade, just wanted to take a minute to go over your English with you for this upcoming week. You're going to be in chapter 29. I just want to take a couple minutes to go over the initial thoughts and concepts for this chapter. Obviously, you'll go through each lesson and fill out the questions and do the reading on your own. You're used to that. But for the actual concepts, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So just going to go over this first section with you, let you know as a result of this chapter what you should be able to do, the objectives for this chapter. And then in the email, I'm going to be sending a link to actually the teacher's guide so that you guys will be able to have all of those tests each week as a resource. And so I'll send that. But for now, I know that you have your books, which means you have the actual chapter questions that you're going to need to be filling out, like here, the assignment. Why was Franz Joseph one of the main, if not primary, reason for World War I? But again, you all are familiar with that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The initial thoughts from the author here are that Otto von Bismarck, the great Prussian German chancellor from the 19th century, had done everything he could to avoid something like World War I. He obviously did not want the world to plunge into war. He was trying to avoid that, and he tried to keep this from happening by emphasizing a few general principles. He thought that it could be avoided by, number one, having an alliance with Austria, but there was no backing for Austria's ambitions in the Balkans, which were, he said, not worth the bones of a single German soldier. So not a lot of value there. Number two, he had a friendship with Russia, which he pursued with secret treaties, so he was kind of going behind the scenes. Obviously, Russia was a world power, and so Bismarck thought that if he was able to form a treaty with Russia, that it could also keep a world war from happening. Number three, that's written down, an aloofness from the competition of overseas empire. He regarded this as a distraction rather than an essential national interest. And number four, the rule of three. Now this is important, so pay attention. It basically means never become dependent on a single ally, always have more than one. So I want you to kind of stop for a second and just think that through. There is a ton of wisdom and practicality in that rule of three, okay? If you only have one ally and they're taken out, you're on your own. If you only have one ally and they double cross you, you're on your own. Having more than one ally, so at least two, you always have a backup plan in case something happens to one of them, okay? So his rule of three, never become dependent on a single ally, always have more than one. However, Bismarck's successors had abandoned all of these principles. Shifting from realpolitik, the pursuit of a limited agenda, to weltpolitik, the pursuit or the risky pursuit of an unlimited agenda of imperialist goals. For them, imperialism had two functions. It would enable Germany to compete with other superpowers like Britain, the United States, Russia, the big, powerful countries. And it would cement this alliance at home between Prussian military and German heavy industry at the expense of democratic and socialist parties. This chapter is the story of how these alliances emerged and ultimately exploded in the face of every European, okay? So a couple of objectives for the chapter. In chapter 29, we're going to look at the causes of World War I. It didn't just happen. There were several events that led up to it, okay? So we're going to be looking at those. In particular, we're going to look at tensions in gendered by nationalism versus despotism, okay? Then we will look at alliances that were negotiated to bring peace but brought only mistrust and confusion. Next, we're going to look at a seminal speech by Englishman Sir Edward Grey, Foreign Secretary, warning about the German naval buildup. We will end by examining the actual offense that precipitated the conflagration called World War I. There's some big words. Personally, I think those are unnecessary. Basically, a lot of events led up to a big war. Could have just said that. All right. As a result of this chapter, you should be able to analyze the tensions emerging from the 19th century kingdoms coping to survive in the 20th century. Also, discuss the many alliances negotiated before World War I and how they contributed to the Great War. We're going to need to analyze Lord Grey's speech. You're going to need to discuss the precipitating events that brought about World War I and evaluate the causes of World War I and determine the main cause, okay? So as you go through each chapter, you're going to be kind of just marching down through those objectives. Lesson 1 is nationalism versus monarchy. So different types of ruling. We're going to discuss things like the Ottoman Empire, Franz Joseph, the kings that rule nations, talk about what nationalism is. So just a little bit of information there. Number 2 is going to be alliances. Again, there was a lot of alliances that came together before World War I because people felt that war was inevitable, and so they wanted to make sure that they had allies. Okay, you never want to go into a big battle by yourself. That's foolish. So they were building alliances with the people around them, okay? Discussing the different treaties, the different alliances, the different groups that teamed up. A little bit of a longer chapter because it goes over so many different alliances, but nice simple question at the end: how did alliances as a whole contribute to the causes of World War I? So you don't need to get too specific there. You're just talking about alliances in general. That's nice and easy, okay? Lesson number 3 would be the arms race. And then number 4, to finish it up, would be the first shots. So the very beginnings of the war. So pretty simple stuff. You're just going to need to march right through the 4 lessons, take care of the questions at the end. Again, if you have any questions at all about this chapter, absolutely reach out to me and let me know. I'm more than happy to help you, okay? When it comes to this, if you have a specific question, discussion might actually be the simplest way. And so if you want to call me or FaceTime me, that's totally okay. I can definitely walk you through this. But if that doesn't work, then, I mean, you can text me too. It'll just be a little bit longer to text out explanations rather than just discuss the material with you, okay? So let me know if you need any help on this. And then after World War I, obviously, we'll continue moving forward with history. So hopefully this is both challenging and informative for you.